Level 1. The penalty, $500 beater. The sound comes first. It is a high-pitched metallic screech from a loose alternator belt that screams every time you turn the steering wheel past 45 degrees. You are 21 years old. You work the 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift at a commercial baking facility on the industrial outskirts of Baltimore. Your skin smells faintly of yeast and warm vegetable oil. The car you drive is a 1999 four-door sedan with 3 matching hubcaps and a passenger door that only opens from the outside if you lift the handle while simultaneously slamming your elbow into the frame. The clear coat peeled off the hood 8 years ago, leaving gray, sun-scorched patches of bare primer that look like map contours. It is 2:15 a.m. on a rainy Thursday. You pull into a 24-hour gas station to put $7 of unleaded into the tank, exactly enough to get you through the rest of the work week. You park at pump 4. Before you even touch the nozzle, a sharp, crackling voice comes over the outdoor intercom system. "Pump 4, prepay inside first." You look toward the glass booth. The night clerk doesn't look at your face. He is staring at the rusted rear quarter panel of your car, his hand hovering near the emergency lock button for the bulletproof door. He doesn't know you. He doesn't know your name, your work ethic, or that you missed lunch yesterday to afford this gas. He sees 400 pounds of scrap metal on ball tires, and he calculates that you are a flight risk. You are a theft statistic waiting to happen. You step out into the cold drizzle, walking across the oil-stained asphalt. As you walk back to your car, a city police cruiser pulls into the lot. The officer doesn't park. He slows down to 3 miles an hour, his spotlight cutting through the darkness to illuminate your rear bumper. He is checking your registration sticker. He is running your plate before you even put the key back in the ignition. On the road, cars behind you tailgate your bumper at 50 miles an hour, flashing their high beams because your driver's side tail light is taped together with red duct tape. When you signal to merge, people speed up to block you. They look at your crinkled fender and know you don't have the legal leverage or insurance backing to fight them in a claims court. At level 1, society treats your vehicle as an active public hazard and an invitation for law enforcement scrutiny. You are not a commuter. You are a target. The world inflicts constant microscopic frictions on your day simply to punish you for taking up space without enough capital. Level 2. The Invisible, $3,500 used daily. You are 26 now. You took a night school certification and landed a job as an assistant residential electrician. You bought a 2008 Honda Civic with 185,000 miles on the odometer. The paint is intact, though faded on the roof, and the interior smells faintly of air freshener masking old upholstery. Here, the world stops punishing you, but it replaces hostility with something far colder: total, absolute invisibility. You drive to a mid-tier suburban steakhouse to celebrate a promotion with your girlfriend. You pull up to the front entrance where a young valet in a black vest is standing under an umbrella. You roll down your window to ask if you can park nearby. The valet looks at the front grille of your Civic. His expression doesn't change to anger or disgust. It simply goes blank. It is the look of a human eye passing over a gray concrete wall. "Self-parking is around back, past the dumpsters," he says, his voice flat, pointing a thumb toward a dark, unlit gravel lot behind the building. He doesn't open your door. He doesn't offer an umbrella. He turns his back to you before you even shift into gear, watching the street for an entry-level German sedan. On the road, you are background rendering. You are gray traffic. When you drive through a gated apartment complex to visit a friend, the optical license plate scanner fails to read your dented front tag 3 times in a row, forcing you to sit in the rain until a security guard slowly walks out of a wooden shack, sighing as he hands you a manual paper visitor pass. Mechanics treat you with casual assembly line indifference. You bring the car in for an oil change, and the service advisor doesn't look up from his computer screen. He writes down your mileage, hands you a greasy paper slip, and tells you it will be a 3-hour wait for a 20-minute job. He knows you have nowhere else to go. You cannot demand loaner vehicles. You cannot threaten to take your fleet elsewhere. You exist in the vast, silent middle tier of humanity that society processes like luggage. Level 3. The Stretch, $14,000 financed compact. You are 31. You work as a commercial insurance claims adjuster. You need to look respectable when you show up at storm-damaged job sites, so you take out a 5-year auto loan at an agonizing 17.5% interest rate to buy a 2019 mid-size CWA sedan with sleek, aggressive headlights and faux chrome trim. Welcome to the tier of acute psychological exhaustion. You are stretching your monthly income to its absolute limit to buy the permission to look middle class. Every morning, you check your car for door dings with the obsessive intensity of a crime scene investigator. If a stray shopping cart rolled within 10 feet of your front bumper in a grocery store parking lot, your heart rate spikes to 120 beats per minute. You know that a single deep scratch down the passenger side will cost 2 weeks of your disposable income to repair. And worse, it will tear away the carefully constructed veil of professional success you are paying $380 a month to maintain. You take the car to the dealership for its scheduled 45,000-mile service. The service advisor wears a crisp polo shirt with an embroidered logo. He sits you down in an air-conditioned office and hands you an itemized estimate printed on heavy paper. "We noticed some minor moisture on your rear shocks," he says, using a smooth, grave tone usually reserved for a medical diagnosis. "And your fuel injectors could really use a pressurized flush. The total comes to $1,450. You know you can't afford it. Your hands sweat inside your pockets. But as you look around the showroom at other men in iron button-downs casually nodding at their service slips, the shame paralyzes you. You can't say no without admitting that the monthly payment is already drowning you. "Go ahead and do it," you say, handing over a credit card that is already at 80% capacity. The dealership staff smiles warmly. They offer you a free single-serve coffee from a pod machine in the waiting lounge. They treat you with polite deference, but it is predator-prey deference. They know you are stretching. They can read your loan terms on the computer screen, and they tax your insecurity with surgical precision. Level 4. The Shift. $45,000 entry luxury sedan. You are 36 now. You've been promoted to Regional Facilities Director. You lease a brand new entry-level German sports sedan, metallic gray, red leather interior stitching, and glowing LED ambient lighting along the dashboard. The moment you pick up the keys off the glass desk, you experience the shift. It is the subtle, undeniable softening of societal friction. You pull into the driveway of your father-in-law's house for Thanksgiving. For 6 years, he greeted you with a brief limp handshake while eyeing your Japanese commuter car. Today, as you step out of the pristine, silent German cabin, he steps off the porch, walks past your face entirely, and runs his hand along the rear quarter panel. "Look at this," he says, his voice carrying a new, quiet note of respect. "You're doing well for yourself." You drive to a high-end downtown hotel for an industry conference. You pull into the valet driveway. The attendant, a guy in a tailored vest, doesn't point you toward the dumpster lot behind the building. He steps out immediately, pulls open your door, and holds his hand over the roofline so you don't bump your head. "Welcome, sir. Staying with us tonight?" For 2 hours, your car sits prominently in the front circle drive, parked right beside the main glass doors. You feel an intoxicating rush of social validation. But by 8 p.m., an executive pulling up in a 6-figure German V8 flagship arrives. You watch from the lobby window as the valet casually steps into your leased car, turns the key, and moves it 50 yards away into a side lane to make room for the larger checkbook. The shift is real, but it is fragile. You have bought entry into the lower tiers of status, but those who operate above you know exactly what you are driving. They know that your car carries a small 2-liter 4-cylinder under that long, aggressive hood. They know it's a lease. They treat you like a promising junior officer, respected but strictly compartmentalized. Level 5. The Performance. $110,000 high-performance V8 German SUV in matte black with ceramic-coated paint and 22-inch forged alloy wheels. The exhaust note on startup sounds like low, rolling thunder. This is the absolute apex of performative modern wealth. The way strangers interact with you becomes hypercharged with emotion. When you drive through your suburban neighborhood, retired neighbors standing on their manicured lawns stop raking leaves to stare directly into your tinted windshield. Their eyes aren't neutral. They are calculating your mortgage, your career trajectory, and your net worth. When you pull up to a red light in a working-class neighborhood, a teenager in a tuned hatchback revs his engine next to you, looking over with a mix of fierce envy and challenge. You hold immense social gravity, but that gravity attracts conflict. The financial cost of maintaining this illusion of absolute dominance is staggering. You take the SUV in for a routine brake replacement at 20,000 miles. The service manager hands you an invoice for $4,200 for rotors and pads. You don't blink. You can't. To question the cost of a brake job on a $110,000 vehicle is to break character. When you go out to dinner at an upscale steakhouse, the valet leaves your car right on the curb in front of the venue's massive floor-to-ceiling windows. You sit at your table inside, pretending to read the wine list, but every 3 minutes your eyes dart towards the glass to make sure nobody walking past with a heavy coat zipper gets too close to your matte paint finish. You have bought immense local status, but you have traded your peace of mind for it. You are constantly performing, trapped in a hyper-vigilant state where every curb, every rainstorm, and every parking spot feels like a high-stakes gamble against your own ego. Level 6. The Respect. $250,000 Italian Supercar. You are 48. You built a mid-market freight brokerage firm that handles regional cold storage logistics. You buy a twin-turbo mid-engine Italian supercar in a bright, unmistakable shade of screaming yellow. It sits 3 inches off the ground. The doors open vertically, swinging toward the sky like hydraulic wings. Society drops all subtlety. The world treats you with a chaotic blend of celebrity worship, raw awe, and complete loss of personal privacy. When you stop at a gas station, you cannot simply fill your tank and leave. 2 high school kids immediately run over with their smartphones drawn, asking if they can record the engine revving for a video. A 50-year-old man in a minivan rolls down his window at a traffic light, giving you a thumbs up with a look of genuine boyish wonder. "What do you do for a living, man?" he shouts across the lane. You are no longer treated as a private citizen driving a vehicle. You are a mobile public event. Police interactions undergo a bizarre inversion. You are doing 82 miles per hour in a 65 mile per hour zone on an open stretch of highway when the red and blue lights flash behind you. You pull over to the shoulder, your heart sinking. The state trooper walks up to your low-slung carbon fiber window. He doesn't have his hand on his holster. He isn't barking orders. He leans down, looks over the smooth, sculpted lines of the rear intake vents, and smiles. "I'm not going to give you a ticket, Chief. I just wanted to take a closer look at this thing. Is this the new V8? Your wealth has reached a critical density where the enforcement of minor laws feels almost unsophisticated to the enforcers. They don't want to find you. They want to experience the machine through you." When you arrive at a luxury 5-star hotel, the head valet standing behind the brass podium moves red velvet stanchions out of the way, ushering you onto the pedestrian plaza directly in front of the main fountain. Your car remains there all night, not as a vehicle, but as a temporary architectural installation designed to communicate to passers-by that important people are inside the building. Level 7. The Bending. $750,000 limited production hypercar. You are 54. Your freight brokerage firm was acquired by an international private equity group for $55 million. You acquire a limited production hypercar, one of only 250 units ever produced worldwide. The body is made entirely of exposed blue weave carbon fiber. It does not have a key. It has a heavy, solid aluminum miniature replica of the car that slides into a slot on the center console. At this level, the rules of civic infrastructure stop applying to you entirely. The world bends its own established systems to accommodate your presence. You drive the hypercar into the center of a major metropolitan city for a lunch meeting with your wealth management team. There are no parking spots available along the avenue. You pull the car up on a red-painted bus lane directly in front of an exclusive private members club, put it in park, and step out. A municipal parking enforcement officer is walking down the block with a digital scanner in his hand, issuing $150 tickets to delivery vans and commuter sedans. He walks up to your vehicle. He looks at the exposed carbon weave. He looks at the brake calipers, which are larger than the wheels of a standard sedan. He doesn't touch his ticket scanner. He doesn't even slow his pace. He walks completely around your car, giving it a wide 3-foot perimeter, and keeps walking down the street. Why? Because his department's liability policy doesn't cover the potential paint damage if his uniform button accidentally scratches a $750,000 custom weave. The sheer, terrifying financial density of the object creates an invisible force field around it. The law backs away from you out of sheer institutional self-preservation. When you drive on organized supercar rallies across state lines, highway police units don't pull the group over for speeding. Instead, state police cruisers park on the entrance ramps with their emergency lights flashing, holding back commercial interstate traffic so your group of 20 hypercars can merge seamlessly onto the open highway at 100 miles per hour without tapping the brakes. The state protects your leisure activity like a diplomatic procession. Level 8. The Influence. $3 million Bespoke Hypercar. You are 59. You run a family office that manages global infrastructure investments. You buy a $3 million bespoke hypercar built by a boutique manufacturer in Modena, Italy. Every switch on the dashboard is machined out of a single billet of aircraft-grade titanium. The leather seats were tanned using crushed walnut shells to match the exact shade of a vintage watch your grandfather passed you down. You do not take this vehicle to a dealership for service. The concept of a dealership does not exist at this level of ownership. When a minor sensor light flickers on the digital dashboard while you are staying at your estate in Sun Valley, Idaho, you do not call a tow truck. You send a text message to the personal cell phone of the manufacturer's chief operating officer in Italy. 36 hours later, a commercial flight lands at the local airport. A lead factory technician, a man wearing a tailored suit carrying a specialized Pelican case containing custom diagnostic computers, steps off the plane. A private driver brings him directly to your 7-car, climate-controlled garage. He bows slightly, greets you in quiet, respectful Italian, and spends 4 hours updating the car's telemetry software while you read the morning financial papers in your living room. When you want to drive the vehicle on a famous coastal highway in California, your corporate assistant contacts the County Board of Supervisors. A $50,000 infrastructure support grant is quietly wired to the county's Parks Department. 2 weeks later, a 6-mile stretch of 2-lane highway hugging the cliffs above the ocean is closed to the public between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. on a Sunday morning. Road maintenance, the electronic orange signs read. There are no maintenance crews. There is only you, the roar of a hand-built B-12 engine echoing off the granite rock faces, and the open, empty asphalt running toward the horizon. You do not adapt to the world's geography, you rent it for the morning. Level 9. The Bespoke. $12 million historic racing unicorn. You are 64. You are a trustee of a sovereign wealth advisory council and hold controlling stakes in maritime port terminals. You acquire an original, ultra-rare 1960s factory race car with documented competition heritage at Le Mans. It is one of 4 surviving examples on Earth. At level 9, the vehicle is no longer classified as transportation, nor is it classified as a luxury asset. It is an irreplaceable piece of international cultural heritage. You do not drive this car on public roads. The tires never touch public asphalt. When the car moves from your estate in Connecticut to an international Concours d'Elegance event in Pebble Beach, California, it travels inside a custom-built, nitrogen-purged, climate-controlled enclosed transport trailer with air-ride suspension designed to neutralize road vibrations down to the millimeter. The transport vehicle is monitored via real-time satellite telemetry, tracking ambient humidity, internal cabin pressure, and 3-axis G-force load meters. A private security team consisting of 2 former intelligence officers drives in a trailing SUV behind the transport trailer for the entire 2,800-mile journey. When the trailer arrives at the golf resort, the curators of the event, men in bespoke linen suits and white cotton gloves, do not treat you like an entrant. They gather at the edge of the lawn, waiting for you to step out of your helicopter. Museum directors from London, Paris, and Tokyo approach you on the grass, holding glasses of vintage champagne, speaking in hushed, reverent tones. They do not ask to buy the car. They know it is not for sale. Instead, they gently probe to see if you might consider loaning the vehicle to their institutions for a 3-month retrospective exhibition next summer. You stand on the manicured grass, surrounded by 300 people dressed in formal attire, all staring at the hand-beaten aluminum bodywork of your automobile. You notice that nobody is looking at you. They are looking past your shoulder, their eyes fixed on the rivets along the engine bonnet. Your physical presence is merely the legal custodianship attached to a piece of mobile history that will outlive your grandchildren. Level 10. The Ghost. $30 million one-of-one artifact. It is 1:30 a.m. in a subterranean, vault-like facility buried 50 feet beneath a private estate in Zurich, Switzerland. The air is cold, scrubbed of dust by industrial HEPA filtration systems, and kept at a constant 45% relative humidity. You are 69 years old. Your hair is silver. Your hands are thin, marked with age spots. You have built an empire that spans continents, shipping lanes, and energy grids. You are sitting in a leather armchair placed in the center of the polished concrete floor. Standing directly in front of you, illuminated by warm, museum-grade spotlights hanging from the ceiling, is a $30 million automotive artifact, a one-of-one mid-century prototype sports car with an unbroken chain of ownership involving monarchs, industrial titans, and legendary racing drivers. The space is dead silent. There is no engine roar. There are no wind noise. There are no cameras, no valets, no traffic officers, and no crowds of admiring spectators. There is only the faint, microscopic hum of the climate control unit in the wall. You get up from your chair, walk over to the car, and run your fingers along the smooth, curved aluminum of the driver's side door. The metal is cold. It doesn't react to your touch. You look at your reflection in the hand-polished glass of the tiny windshield. And in that quiet, sterile underground vault, the absolute, terrifying math of your life becomes completely transparent to you. The world never respected you. When you were 21, driving that screeching $500 sedan through the rain in Baltimore, the world treated you like trash because of the car. When you were 48, driving that yellow $250,000 Italian supercar, the world treated you like a god because of the car. And now, standing in front of a $30 million museum piece, the world treats you like a ghost because of the car. At every single stage of your ascent, humanity was never interacting with your soul, your mind, your character, or your private griefs. They were simply reading the price tag attached to the metal box you were sitting inside. The car doesn't know your name. It doesn't care about your legacy. In 30 years, your heart will have stopped beating. Your empire will have been liquidated or divided by corporate lawyers, and this $30 million sculpture of aluminum and steel will still be sitting in a climate-controlled room somewhere on Earth, gleaming under artificial light, completely unchanged, waiting for the next ghost to sign the title deed. You turn off the light switch on the wall. The vault plunges into total darkness. You walk toward the elevator alone. 3,000 miles away, on a cold, rain-slick street corner in Baltimore, it is 2:15 a.m. A 21-year-old sits behind the wheel of a rusted 1999 sedan. The alternator belt is screaming under the hood. He is sweating, clutching a crumpled $10 bill in his hand, watching a police cruiser slow down in his rearview mirror. He looks at his reflection in the cracked side mirror, his teeth clenched, his heart burning with an intense, quiet desperation. He thinks that if he just works harder, if he just makes more money, if he can just buy a better car, the world will finally see him. He doesn't know. He has no idea.